This video is going to have a look at an example of how do we calculate Pythagoras within a 3D shape. So the example asks us to determine the height of the pyramid. Now the height of the pyramid is going to be from the top down to the center of the base. So I can use that height to form a right angle triangle. And that right angle triangle is going to form the basis of my calculations. So I'm going to start off by just naming that triangle on the shape. So A, B, and C. Then replicating it off to the side of the diagram. So A, B, and C. I'm going to mark in my height, which was BC. I'm going to use H for height. I know that side AB is 12 and side AC is an unknown side at this stage, so I'm going to call it Y. So before I can go ahead and calculate the height, I need to determine a value of Y. So going back to my diagram, I can form a second right angle triangle, and that's going to be along the base. So that is going to be a second right angle triangle that I can use to help me determine the length of my unknown side Y. I'm going to add in the letters D and E, which is going to help me to draw that off to the side. It's going to be A, D, and E. Now I know that side E to D is going to be 6, and A to E is 5. And my unknown side A to D, I'm going to give a label of X2. So I'm not using Y because it is not equal to Y. Y only goes half the way. So I'm going to use an unknown variable of X, which I can then use to help me to work out what my Y value is going to be. So using Pythagoras, c squared equals a squared plus b squared, I can go ahead and determine my X value. So substituting in, x squared is equal to 5 squared plus 6 squared. So x will equal to the square root of 5 squared plus 6 squared. So x is going to equal to 7.81. Now going back, I need to be able to work out what y is to help me determine the height in that original calculation. So I know that x is going to be double what my y value is. So my y value is going to be 7.81 divided by 2. So I can now go back to my original diagram and I can update y to be 7.81 divided by 2. Now that I know my two sides, I can go ahead and calculate my unknown h value. So I can do that using Pythagoras, but this time, instead of using c squared equals a squared plus b squared, because I already know the hypotenuse, I'm going to use a squared equals c squared minus b squared. So substituting in the values, h squared is going to equal to 12 squared minus 7.81 over 2, and that's going to be squared as well. So h is going to equal to the square root of 12 squared minus 7.81 divided by 2 squared. So h is going to equal to 11.35. So by using Pythagoras, I've been able to determine the height of the pyramid is 11.35 centimeters. That's an example of how we can use Pythagoras to calculate an unknown dimension within a 3D shape.